I've always lived here in Lewis. I've always lived on the croft I'm on. I took it over from my father, and we had black ewes in those days, but I had an interest in maybe going into Cheviots and then into Texels. I really quite fancied the Texels. It's not for everybody, but for producing a heavier lamb and more productive, it's a way I've gone. It's not for everybody, but that's what this is all about. You find the balance that's best for yourself. So yeah, I started with only a few. I had around 20 ewes. That's where I was at for long enough until the opportunity came to take on this land, and I've built it up from there. My season with sheep here, this is Benadryl Farm, which I have a sublet on, and I have a croft just beside me here of about just 6 acres, but I have the use of other land seasonally as well. I run just about 85 breeding ewes here, which are mainly Texel crosses and pure Cheviots. The pure Cheviots are like the first cross Texel Cheviot as a breeding ewe. With a selection of sheep here, when I'm looking for them to see what kind of ewe I'm looking for tupping, and if they're fit enough for tupping, I want to see they're good in their feet. So when they were running along the road coming up to the pen, I was trying to spot any that had were lame or anything, and I needed to maybe look at what was wrong. And even casting your eye over, you'd spot a lean ewe. So go and have a look at that as a starter. But it's not to say I'm not going to run it through. They'll get the usual fitness check and check their teeth and check the udder, because some of them become quite deceiving if there's something wrong. But these sheep look fit enough, but I put them onto hard ground after weaning. They've been weaned from the lambs about 3 weeks now. They've kept condition, but I just want to dry off the udders. They don't need great grass at the moment, so they're put onto hard ground until maybe early October, when I'll start taking them onto better grass. And we get a bit of a flush on them. Here's a good sized ewe. It's in great condition actually. Body condition's about a 4, and it's reared lambs. And it's funny, when you only got a small amount of sheep, you do actually know this sheep had twins, you know, so it's done really well to itself. But I know it produced good lambs for me. But the problem with it, and why I won't be keeping it, is it's got long teeth, and the teeth now are beginning to get loose. It's more than likely it won't last the winter. You can just see the wobble in the tooth there. It's one of my older ewes, so I can tell by the tag and the colour of the tag that it's like a 4 crop ewe, and it's time for it to go. As you can see, it's quite improved ground here, but I've had to work hard to get to where it is. So I graze the land, the fields are grazed in rotation, and the sheep are moved every 3 to 4 days from park to park to try and keep them fairly clean and onto fresh grass. The kind of ewe that I want to breed here, I want to have a fairly good shaped ewe that's fairly milky. I like having twin lambs off them, but the sheep has to have good maternal instincts as well. You know, the weather can be a bit harsh here in the spring, so you want the lambs to be up and suckling, and they're fit ewes, and they're going to last as well. They're not just like 3 or 4 years. I'll get a good crop of lambs off them. The lambs though is really, I'm trying to hit a store market. I'm not really going to ever hit a finished market here. I'd have to work fairly hard and with a lot of input. It's the quantity that I'm really aiming for. Twin lambs, or as much as I can, maybe this year achieving 150 to 160% lambing, and that's an improvement. We had gone back a bit, but now it's getting back there. Here I'm getting some store lambs ready for the sale next week. I've got a tagger here, and these are batch tags. It's a single tag. I only need to put 1 tag into the lamb that's going to market, rather than double tagging it at the moment. It's a simpler process for me and for recording. So this is an electronic tag. It doesn't have a number, but it has your UK number, but it doesn't have an individual number printed on it, but it is on the electronic element of it. But it's very useful because it's minimal recording that you have to do in your book. So when you're tagging a lamb with an electronic tag, it's into the left ear, always the left ear, and I quite like to put it at the front because I'm finding I don't have the same amount of losses as I used to. And there you go, simple as that. It's in its ear, I don't have to do any more to it. The biggest challenge is out here with the weather. The winter weather, it's very wet, and I'm just a typical crofter. Yeah, this land's better, but by gum, it's no half wet in the winter. So I have to protect this land for the sheep coming in the spring. So they go to the common grazings, they're on the heather for the winter, and I feed out there good clean hay, concentrates nearer to lambing. But yeah, the weather, the cost of feed as well. So you really got to try and balance all that. Don't go full on feeding beasts. They've got to sustain themselves, and I've got to build that in.